But this is going to investigations probably in the next month.
But
And it's also
that's all
budget
based on the
time.
past, and we are addressing our shortfalls. I don't know, Reed. That's a pretty big bite. I think one of our biggest concerns is how are we gonna keep these people busy? I mean, how are they gonna earn their $16 an hour?
Okay, put it this way, say they weren't doing anything.
So they're drawing $16 an hour just to be on call, just
Just
to
to
cover.
sit there, just sit at
Just
the
to
table.
cover the county for their, and I understand that, I've been in that position. And that happens, that's just the way it is, but I don't know if we can, 3 sounds like a big bite for some reason.
I know from what I've heard when Rollins County did this, once you get to this point, there's not a whole lot of waiting and seeing and that type of thing. But that was, I wasn't involved back then. I know Ryan was. I've talked to Ryan some about how that went down over there, and he was kind of involved in some of that. It got pretty serious pretty quick, I know. And that's why I tried to come here 3 years ago and prevent some of this from happening, but we're here. And I totally agree with you. I would have loved to wait for this class. I wish this class would have been a year ago, you know?
Well, but, I'm sorry, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but every year with this class, with this class, with this class, and you said you were here 3 years ago, it's been 3 years to try and remedy this through the volunteers, the additional EMTs that are being certified, and you're still here in the same situation.
That's why I'm recommending making changes. Because this is not working. And it hasn't. We're the only ones in the region doing this. I mean, they all used to be in our shoes.
This is not a decision we have to make today, right?
You know, it's like I said, I don't have to know. You know, if investigations meet in June, you know, and we don't have any local action, I don't know if that's not gonna be a positive thing. Will that be a negative thing? I don't know.
But there's gonna be recommendations and directions
Yes.
coming out of this investigation.
Yes.
I feel we need to wait and see what those things are before we start making
And
moves.
that's fine. That's fine.
Because I would really like to hear the state's opinion on, this is your problem, here's our recommendation on how to fix it.
And it's in statute.
Thanks.
It's cut and dry in statute. When he was down here, he was like, you guys aren't the only one. And I think I told you that back in March. He said there's 2 that are probably gonna close and then 1 that are revamping things. And, you know, they will help to some extent. The temperature, and I guess I hate to say this publicly, but I'm gonna do it anyway, the temperature of the board is full-time services. I mean, it is,
Well, it makes it easier on them, too.
yes.
And the problem with going full-time, now you'd have to provide some housing. There's a lot of,
And that's why when Atwood was quote-unquote forced into it, I mean, they didn't have the facility to start with. And still, when I was director down there, you know, we were meeting compliance things and having to put windows in living areas that, you know, all this kind of stuff that, you know, if it had been planned out, you know, I know the waste would have been less. I know the impact would have been less, but
I would have liked to have seen a little forward thinking when we put in the EMS building to allow for some.
I know our building is in better conditions than Atwood's to handle that. It's just bigger and laid out better for that. But I don't know if I agree with you, because that's not my goal. Maybe we're gonna have to throw some full-time at this, but a full-time service, like I've told you guys before, I thought that was the answer. And that's why I was really interested in go over to Atwood and see how it's all being done. They're on the right track. And I came back with a whole different opinion. Because when the tones go out, Yes, they can guarantee 24/7 coverage by 2 people. I can't guarantee you my 2 people 24/7, but history proves if you need 4 ambulances, I can get you 4 ambulances. There's not the people over there. There physically isn't the people. And I don't know what the statistic is, but I think 90% plus of their EMS comes from out of town. They're physically not available. Physically. I mean, that's, and I know I'm asking for a lot today, and I didn't even know if I was gonna go this far, but I was like, no, I gave him a heads up in March, I'm gonna lay it out and see where it goes. And so am I asking for an answer? Sure, I would like to take one back with me, but I understand if you're not gonna make it. I do understand if you're gonna wait for the state. That's fine with me. I just have, as a director, I have an obligation to tell you that this situation is ongoing.
My only concern personally is if we're talking $80,000, does the county have another 80,000? Where are we gonna get another 80,000 to put in that right
Well,
now?
You'd have to raise taxes.
And didn't they say we couldn't raise that?
Well, that only applies to non-emergency services. Emergency services, yes, the taxes can be raised.
And how long would that take us to raise the taxes?
Next budget.
Yeah, be a year behind.
I know for this year that adding these 2 positions, I can cover the salary with my budget the way it is. And I kind of listed some things here. I'm not gonna commit to being able to cover the benefits. The projection looks like I could cover a good share of those benefits, and some of the reasoning is, well, I talk about it here in money. That was kind of the next subject. Oh, yeah, so carryover from last year, we were $53,000 under budget. Don't quote me on that, cause Scott, this isn't period 13 numbers, this is period 12 numbers. So I'm sure it's a little less than that, but I had period 12, which was into December. I thought that was getting moved over, carried over, or does that just disappear?
You can come in and do the transfer.
Because you had said that you did them for all departments?
On the general, there's a general transfer,
But you have to
end of
ask
the
for
year,
Yeah,
but it had to be in your budget, it had to be a line item in your budget to carry over for, what was it, capital outlay?
Cause it was gonna fall over into recruitment reserve, right?
yeah, but
And that has to be approved by the auditor before it happens, is how I was explained that.
well, it's pretty close.
And I don't know, I'm asking.
Basically what happened was we did one budget and that line item was taken out because people were putting in what they wanted to carry over for equipment reserve or capital outlay. And per the advice of the treasurer, that was taken out. And so then we had to come back in and redo the budget sheets to have that line item in there. And correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, to have that line item in there so it would be an automatic transfer when we did the year end, is that right?
I still think you had to ask for that.
Yes, because remember we had the transfer forms that you can get in December to anticipate any carryover to transfer it over into another line item.
So then what happens to that $50,000?
Goes in the general.
Yeah.
So is it still, I mean, it should put our general over.
Well, everything over goes into general to build our
Overall budget.
So the moral of the story is it's not there.
It's basically our
Right.
savings account, basically, yeah.
But there's not 50,000 in the savings account.
You can't take your checkbook right now and go down and write a check for $53,000.
What I'm getting at, we can't use that money this year for these, to help offset the expense of these 2 positions if we go that route, is what I'm getting at. I didn't know if this is a source of funding, or is it gone?
you know, a conversation with our accountants have probably cleared up a lot better, or Dolores, than what we can,
Okay, okay.
if that makes sense. I mean, I'm no budget expert by any means, but I think a quick question, a quick phone call to Norton would
Okay,
probably
okay.
answer that.
So I don't know if we have that money to work with or not.
Well, I don't think the auditors are gonna know it either, because they haven't received any information from the treasurer.
So that they can do the audit.
They've been asking since 1st of February. She has not provided them anything yet.
Okay. Well, we'll move on from the 50,000. Here's another, and you might not be able to answer this one either. But every year we put $10,000 somewhere. And I don't know where this somewhere is for this craft matching grant. Well, we didn't get it this year, so my question is, where's that $10,000 at? Could that help? And, because we do that every year. And I know at least the last
She has
2
a
years.
grants, line item that everybody's grants, she keeps track.
So does the match get put in there?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
So to me, for the years that we haven't gotten this craft grant, we should be building the savings account, so to
It's been
speak.
10 years in that, in the EMS grants, wherever she puts that, there should be $10,000 in there. Or 20, I mean, if you haven't used it for 2 years. Should be.
Okay. Cause that's stuff I don't see on my budget. You know, I see your stuff,
I
the
don't see it either. but-
commodities, contractuals, that, I mean, I get that every month. So that's why I just was like, this might be some money available to us. I don't know because I can't see it, or I don't see it. I do know that our expenses are down 7% compared to last year, which are pretty good because we were really busy January, February, March. I'm hoping that continues, and I do know we are gonna have at least a projected $30,000 of additional billing this year that we haven't had in the past. Now that's on the income side, not the expense side, so that's why I laid all that out just to say that there might be some sources here. The only one I really have control over is this billing, and I know, I mean, we're almost already at $30,000 more, so I feel confident that we can support these two positions out of our budget, their salary expense. And that was figuring if we would start them June 1st, so. And just to let you know, how we would like things to work is candidates would be interviewed by some emergency services directors. You know, usually you bring in the sheriff and maybe Ryan and me and whatever. They get interviewed by us. I do want a vote by current staff. That's something that we haven't done in the past, and I think that's important to let all the volunteers vote who their full-time people are gonna be, and then approval by me and you, so.
You would be drawing these people out of the people you have now.
I'm hoping. There was about, and I just made it up. I said, this is not approved by the commissioners. This is just me thinking out loud, and I gave them the $16 an hour. I gave them what we're doing for on-call every other weekend. You know, would you be interested in something like this?
And-
I got back 5 people that said they might be interested.
Say if you had the 2 more, the calls that you have during the day, that would subtract from that. Right, because whatever you pay.
Right.
Each person a call.
Right. I see what you're getting at, and you're exactly right. You won't have, your per call expense won't be as much because you're not paying people $50 a call to go on that call. It's gonna be absorbed in this $16 an hour. I mean, how it'll come out in the end, I have no idea, but I wouldn't count on that saving any money or cost, I consider that neutral. But you're right, we wouldn't be paying people to go on that call when the call is by the full-time people, because they're getting paid an hourly wage and that's included. One of the areas that I haven't figured out a good way to cover is when there's transfers. I do know that I would like the full-timers to take the transfers, because I think we could backfill those hours while they're gone with this volunteer pool, so maybe we could bring our transfers up a little bit, and bring our income up some more. But how do you do it when it crosses shifts? If there's a transfer at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they get home at, midnight, how do you work that pay? And so that's a little fuzzy.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
But I do know that transfers, this would have a positive impact on transfers instead of a negative impact on transfers. Because we just have more availability.
Well, again, I'm a little hesitant about taking any action until we get that report back from the state.
Okay. No, that's fair.
And what did you anticipate that being, time-wise? At their leisure?
Yeah.
Okay.
He sent me an email and said, hey, I'm wrapping things up. Because one of the things is, I had to change our access to our schedule. That kind of makes it confusing for our people. So I said, as soon as you're done, let me know so I can switch that back. And he said he was getting close. He says, I will. He says, I do want you to check over my report for accuracy, which was really nice. Historically, you don't know until you go to the investigations committee what it's about. So I will have a chance of looking at his report. And usually in those reports, he makes a recommendation also, so.
And that's what
I
I'm
would
interested in.
definitely, be interested in getting you guys a preliminary.
Yeah.
And then, whenever they meet, I haven't seen this, they Facebook Live their meetings. And that's usually how I join, is just Facebook Live. I don't know if they would allow us to conference call into those. I know there is a time that we can speak. That might be something that, I'll check into that.
Okay.
That might even be something to have a special meeting for, so you all three can be around the table.
I agree.
Any more discussion on this issue before I hit this last thing real quick? Okay. The last thing is our drug alcohol testing. I have a policy someplace. It might be clear in the back. Yes, it's the last thing. It's kind of a lengthy policy, so I thought it was probably unfair to have you approve it today. So it's just in your packet to approve next month or have discussion over next month. It's one of the policies, 3 pages from the back. It's one of the policies that are in your binder that are policies created by me and not approved by the Board of Commission. Most of our policies are that way, so I figured before we really start ramping this up that we should have you guys approve a policy. So, it's in your packet, you can read over it at your leisure.
Have you read it?
Next,
What's that?
Have you read it?
I haven't seen it.
it's in, all of our policies are in that binder, those big binders. I think you have a copy up here too, don't you? So, Wendy White's certified to test both alcohol and drug, and then we'll start testing both AM and PM shifts. And that's been our biggest problem we've had this program for a couple years, but we've never been able to test our PM shift because the clinic's closed. Now that we're doing it all in-house, we can call people back and we can test both shifts equally. And saliva, the alcohol saliva gets read there by Wendy in a video camera.
This
The
is
urine gets
accepted,
sent.
this is
yeah.
accepted through the state. I mean, it's.
Yep, it's all managed by an outside drug testing firm. They're the ones that verify all the results. They're the ones that give us all the test forms and everything to fill out. They're the ones that manage the random list. They give me quarterly a list of people to test. So I wait until those people are on call and then we test them. Well, it's really limited us when we can't do night shift. I mean, it's usually me, Wendy, Jill, Paul. They're always getting tested because we're the ones on call during the day. So this will remedy that situation. But I think it'd be a good idea for you guys to at least approve the policy
And when does Wendy able to start this
today.
today?
But I'm gonna wait until you guys approve the policy. I think that's probably smart. Even though we have been doing some of it through the clinic for 2 years. All right. That's all I have. I think,
That's all? That's quite a bit.
your comment about what they're gonna do, let me get you some more information about that. Like, how I think their day might lay out, the actual lists of tasks and responsibilities.
Yeah, a job description,
Yeah.
a detailed job description would be most helpful.
So if we take Wendy's, that's what it is. And if I remember right, we redid that one to be detailed. But I'll expand on it. I'll create job descriptions tasks. I'll do that.
Okay. All right. That's a lot to soak in, but
I mean, yeah, the biggest thing is just, we need to make a game plan for, and I think we all know what the state's gonna come back with in some fashion. I think we need to be in a position to pull a trigger, whatever that trigger would be. So I don't think they're gonna allow us 6 months to wait and see. But it's also a different board than what Atwood had too when they went through this, so maybe it'll be handled different, I don't know. All right,
thank you, Reed.
thank you all.
I'll be out of town for a couple of days, by the way.
All right. But you're not on the call schedule. Well, you don't have to tell me.
Wow.
Sounds like this is really complicated for a so-called volunteer service. Of course, it's like most rules they make, it's for larger communities with,
Well, the problem is when it's volunteer and you're not meeting the state standard,
yeah.
The problem I see, and I don't even wanna get into it, Willie, if we get down to a full-time service, we're gonna have one station. And you know where that's gonna be,
virtually.
say it outright. There's the problem.
Well,
And we're not gonna man a part-time over there and keep a bunch of ambulances and pay wages. And I don't even wanna get into it because it's not fair to Bird City or St. Francis, either one, but the middle of Cheyenne County is St. Francis. And that's where you're gonna run your ambulances. And that's what's gonna happen if they keep pushing. Cause that's where it's gonna take way too much money to run two departments.
Well, I know emergency services is outside the tax lid, but these people, farmers especially right now,
It's 2 more mills.
it's a lot of more taxes for them to pay.
Well, I'd have to agree with you, that's a lot to take in for
Yeah,
one setting.
yeah, I have a hard time seeing 2 more full-time positions, I really do. I can't quite find the benefit there. Other than appeasing the state for their call schedule.
And that's probably the most important part, isn't it?
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
we
know,
want,
I don't know how the laws read, but if you're paid $16 an hour, and then you're on call, I don't know if you gotta be paid while you're on call,
I think it's just those,
but then it is,
Outside
then
their
it is
8
a
hours.
time and a half. If you come back,
well, that's the reason you put that $25,000 in overtime in there.
no, I mean, they're paid their 50 cent an hour call time, those few hours outside their 8 hours, but there any runs outside their 8 hours, then you do pay them their run rate of, I don't know what it is, $50 or whatever it is. I don't know.
50.
I figured you had to pay time and a half.
Well, during their 8 hours, you just pay them the $16 an hour.
And after the 8 hours, they'd get $50 on the run.
Yeah, they get the run rate.
But they're not gonna make that run rate during their 8 hours,
No.
nor any other call time.
But if you're gonna have 3 people full-time, why would you want 3 of them up there through the day?
All at the same time.
Why would you have maybe 2 up there for 8 hours? The
Stagger
other one's on
one.
nighttime shift. They can mop floors and,
An evening shift, that's probably good.
Well, you could divide it 3 8-hour shifts,
yeah,
and you could cover 24.
and you'd have 24.
And I kind of wonder too is if you get an EMT, they're not going to want to mop floors and clean bathrooms and stuff. I wouldn't think.
Well, firemen, they do it in the cities. You know, they do something. They just don't sit in there.
Our volunteer fire department here cleans their side.
Well, I worked for a full-time ambulance service. It's been a number of years ago. But each shift had their duties and they were all spelled out. This ambulance, this floor, this building. Each shift had their particular thing they had to get done before the next shift
Wash the
arrived.
windows or.
Clean the ambulances.
Clean the ambulances.
And there is a
Wash
lot of
the
downtime.
ambulance.
But there are also times where there's zero downtime. I mean, you may spend your entire 24 hours at work, working.
And that 80,000, and you're right, we're gonna have beds up there, some of them are up there. at
You're gonna
night.
have to provide housing. If you're gonna house people overnight, you're gonna have to. And that was one of the things Atwood, I talked to one of their county commissioners, and the initial cost of that thing was unbelievable. But then he went on to say that for the first year, a lot of that was housing, to provide them a place to stay.
And I think Reed made a good comment. The minute Atwood went full-time, they have nobody,
Yeah, no more
no more
volunteerism.
volunteers, and that same thing's gonna happen here.
Yeah, I
All of
hate
a
to see
sudden, we
that.
have 3 full-time, and the rest of them go, I'm not gonna do this when they're making 16 an hour.
I guess I'm not getting a clear picture. If we have 18 EMTs within Cheyenne County,
Why they're not taking.
why are they not taking any call time or any run times? I mean, we're basically talking about 4 to 6 people.
Well, therein lies the question in regards to accountability. I mean, where are those hours that they're supposed to be putting in if they went through the courses here in Cheyenne County?
A lot of them put just basic minimum to keep from having to pay back. And,
But even so, with the 18 EMTs, and you have, depending on when they took the course, which up until this time, I think it was 20 hours. That's a lot of hours.
I know the 3 new in Bridge City, they all got full-time jobs. I think out of the 3, I think 2 of them are pretty easy to go ahead and answer during the day during their time. But that's up to whoever they work for too.
Well, but when you sign up to take the courses, it's perfectly clear that you've got to dedicate so much time on call.
Well, why would they go through the class if they're not going to?
Yeah, but I think a lot of them figure too is they can do it when they're not working, say at nighttime, when most of them don't work. I don't know that for a fact, but
I know one of the questions put on firemen is, can you make it during the day? Will your job let you? I mean, we pretty much make the mass.
Yeah, 'cause I know Jill with the city, she has permission to leave. I know, Century Two lets their employee leave. And Kelly, I guess she probably works for herself. And the only one
I mean,
isn't.
most places allow. Yeah.
But then too, that decides on how busy they are, if they have a meeting.
Right, I mean, there's certain times anybody cannot, not everybody can make it every time.
Wow.
It's not easy.
No, that isn't gonna be easy. Cause you're about gonna have to pick the lesser of two evils. The problem is making that pick. I mean, it's a neck and neck. There's not a clear winner,
Kinda like the Dave Wright thing.
yeah. But I do know he's right in one thing, more and more communities are looking at full-time services.
Oh, I know they are.
Okay, we got anything else we need to discuss this morning?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All those in favor? Aye.